Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Abdul Ghani Al Khatib from Cloud Zone ITC. I'm a cloud engineer, senior cloud engineer in Cloud Zone. We are cloud provider here in Saudi Arabia. We are partnered with several public and private and even dedicated cloud providers such as AWS and Microsoft Azure and STC Cloud. Today we will talk about STC Cloud. STC Cloud is a Saudi-based cloud service provider. They provide STC from STC Solutions. They provide shared hosting, dedicated hosting, co-location, and VPS, or they call it VDS. Uh, Today we will present an overview about the SSC solution and variety of services and how can we create such servers, Windows servers. We would like to go to official website cloud.com.sa, cloud.stc.com.sa, sorry. uh, Here we will present the the variety of hosting, since we have like several type of hosting. We have co-location service that you will allocate a physical server inside the data center of SCC in Riyadh or Jeddah, and that option is useful for the enterprise companies who wish to host their legacy server in the managed service cloud server provider. The second option is a virtual data center, and that's what we will focus on today. That you can build a virtual private server inside cloud, Saudi Cloud or SCC Cloud. That called or that option is similar to VNC, virtual network instance or compute, and we have that option similar to VPS inside Microsoft Azure. Specifically, that you have an option to access to the OS level. The third option from the left is ready-made deployment, that is auto-configured, similar VDC, but it's predefined or pre-configured like WordPress or a Plesk hosting, cPanel hosting. You are able to access the application directly and even manage the VPS or virtual server network level. That is suitable for something to host common application you can name as WordPress. And the final option is business applications. That basically it's a SaaS, software as a service. You will be able to manage the only application interface. You will not be able to access the data level or the network level while you are rent a small software. We can rent like a simple accounting service or accounting system, point of sales, or even HR system that is from STC marketplace. That option is suitable for who is looking to build a quick and ready-made application over the STC. Let's go to the another option, which is the uh, certification, and that is awarded to data centers. We have several qualification and uh, we call it as certificates to host the critical and private data. We will go through them quickly. We have like HIPAA. HIPAA, it's a compliant certificate for the hosting patients globally, that is suitable for hospital and medical sector to host their critical and private patient data. And we have CSA Star, it's another certification. And the STC is a tier 4 level of hosting inside Saudi Arabia. We have another options like ISO for security and reliability, and BCI DSS for sure for the banking sector. So you can imagine how the level of level of certificates that we have. Let's go to the virtual data center to explore that options. Uh, Inside the virtual data center, we have ready-made applications like F5 WAF for your web application. You can go to view deployment and see the variety of all the services that you can define and configure. Uh, you can see here a variety of services. As we mentioned, we have virtual machine, virtual data center, that product that we will explore. Here you can create your virtual machine server, virtual machine private servers, you can call it. We have a variety of options to start your hosting from the network level until the applications under your control. We have co-location service, that is service also provided by STC. We have cloud DNS. Assume that you need to host your specific and private DNS over STC, you can make it. And there is a rest of applications that you can explore it by yourself. Let's go to the dashboard. Dashboard is a place that you can get started from. As a partner or as a consumer, you will see the dashboard similar to this. Here you can explore the invoices, subscriptions, organization, and more. Subscriptions, that anything related to the cloud hosting that you will bill for or pay for, you will see it inside subscription. It's a virtual application to manage your subscription and cloud computing. Organization, if you have several organizations inside one account. Financial, here you can explore in details what is your invoices and credit that have been used. Also, you can explore the users, you can add multiple users and employees, and also you can go to support for any ticket. If you are Dusty or reseller or partner for the STC, you will explore an option called Dusty. Dusty that present and explore all your current customers under your account. So basically here you can see your customers, you manage them, you activate them, you assign them credit, and also open a support for their account as well. If we go to the let's say STC managed support, you will see something called Azure platform. Azure, it's a virtual assistant and support platform for STC. Virtual data center, here virtual data center, you can explore the prices and variety of options and VPS that is predefined from STC. We have R2 generic, you can explore like one virtual CPU, 2 gigabyte RAM, and bandwidth bit per second. So you can explore the prices inclusive of VAT per hour. You can customize or you can select your preferred from one virtual CPU until you take until 96 virtual CPU and 256 as a RAM, and the bandwidth is 4096. So here you have variety of options based on CPU, based on generic, based on memory, depends on your application type. If you wish to go to another specification regarding to the hosting, you can host like OS based hosting. Assume that you need to host a Linux based applications or Windows based application. You can select directly from the virtual machine, Windows server hosting, or Linux based hosting. uh, you can see the expectation and estimation for the hosting prices per hour, so you can assume that how much we have to pay to complete that hosting per month. So that applies the defined model. It's like a pay as you go model, and what will take from your credit the hosting cost at the end of every month. uh, as I mentioned that SCC provide several services and options for hosting, we will explore the Cloud Tech Stack portal. You will go to cloud.stc.com.sa, then go to dashboard. You will present the screen that you will see all the subscriptions and customers. I prefer to go to the new beta, a new layout version, in order to present nowadays and future will be used the new screen and new layout in order to practice your login and manage that. Then we will go to the subscription in order to access to our servers and see how can we manage our subscription. Here we will see all subscription containers for your hosting servers and so. Here you can manage either changing the hosting option, or you can cancel the subscription, manage them, or view it in marketplace. And please note that cancel the entire subscription could be thrown that cancel button. If you don't know how to use it, please contact CloudZone support team. If you go to service, they will redirect you to a data center inside STC on a platform called Blue Vault. Blue Vault, it's a cloud computing platform to manage your resources and instance. You will enter username and password to enter your cloud computing managed service. So it's not an email based, it's an username. So you will remove the email, rest of email, and only access by your username. Don't worry about the password. Password is already invalid for now, but this is for demo purposes. You are able to access to Blue Vault tech stack, and you will present all the instances and servers from this dashboard. The overview will present you an overview about your hosting instances, from instance to virtual CPU, going to RAM, floating IP address like a public IP address, security group, and so. Here you can present all the details of your hosting options and data centers. You will press on overview and you will present how many CPU that you allocated from the data center itself. You can host up to 100 virtual CPU, 50 instance, and 256 gigabyte RAM, and no limits for IP address. You can explore the user summary based on the history and time and usage inside the that cloud, let's say. If you would like to go to instances, instances is like you can present the option. So here you can present your instances or VPS. Let's call it server from now and future. You can present the status if it's shut down or start. We will start the instance enable in order to access it. Please make sure that if that instance is locked, you will not be able to do any action. You have to unlock first, then go back to start the instance. You can deassociate floating IP, attach interface to manage entire the cloud. So here you can resize the instance, you can unlock, you can hard reboot instance. So if you need to make any action on this instance, you have to unlock the instance first, then you can do it. That option is used for production purposes in order to not misuse that VPS or delete or remove or shut down the production server. Here you can select the hard report instance or even delete the entire instance from the cloud. We will present the status. That status is shut off. You have to go to access from this option and present the server inside. It's a Windows Server Standard 2012. You can present overview, log, anything happened to that server. You can present console in order to access it. You can see the all the details of your server inside that option. Then you can go to images. Images, it's a variety or marketplace of operating system that you can create. It's well-known and common, like CentOS, we have MariaDB, we have FortiS, MySQL Server for hosting the database, we have Model, you can host in Ubuntu, Postgres, SQL, OpenCard, if for and even you can host Odoo for ERP and OpenCard for shopping. Also, you can host WAF and load balancer. A lot of services that you can use and try inside the hosting. It depends on your flavor or your use cases here we can present Windows based VDS. So here you can present Windows Server. You can use 2012, 2016, even 2020, 2019. You can host WordPress over CentOS, WordPress over Ubuntu. So if you need to host your next web application business overview, you can start from here and just a few clicks from there. Key pairs, it's authentication based system or key based authentication system that's used for Linux based system. They don't have like username, simple username and password. They use certificate based authentication. If you wish to go to volumes, volumes will present you the entire storage option. Storage like hard disk or storage that used for computing and file. Here you can see the snapshots to take a simple backup snapshot inside the cloud without any further license. You can present under network topology to present the entire graphical GUI for the network topology to understand what is the topology used inside the cloud, from public adapter to access the internet to your subnet. You can classify it and present it in two ways. So here you can see from public internet until the direct private subnet inside the cloud. You can design your required production and staging environment and isolate that network inside the DMZ or something else. Here you can see the adapters or subnetting for your instances and VPS. Assume that you have two isolated server or isolated network. In order to isolate the architecture from servers, production to staging or database, depend on your design for the cloud hosting. That properly or obviously using that option to separate that production and staging environment or a critical system. You can present under the network all the subnet and IP addresses under the cloud or under your account. You can create as much as you can in order to design your best way subnet network. You can isolate your servers and production as your requirement need. Routers, it's a virtual service to give you access to the internet or to the public network. Any server that you wish to add a network routing protocol or network internet based protocol to public internet, you have to assign it to the router for each server in order to route the default traffic to the rest of internet and give it ability to access from internet to your system. The next option, we go to security group. Security group is like a default virtual application to install your security rules, like permit a certain ports or enable certain services and role ports. For example, if you wish to manage your rules, you can see here we have create a certain security group rule for Windows based. So we enabled RDB and enable everything egress to the internet, and we can disable like SSH or default ports for common security threat in order to manage your VPS routing and services security group policy based on your requirement. So that is used to enable any services like web service, HTTP service, or deny any unsecure or old service that enabled by default or the server. So you can disable it on the cloud security groups option. Here you can create several options for your Linux based system or Linux based server and public service. Floating IP address is a public IP address used for accessing that server publicly. You can reserve as much as you can. You can allocate. They call it as a floating IP address, IPs. The next is you can search and allocate how much you need for certain database or web application to access your cloud publicly. Identity, under identity we have projects. You can assign a virtual labels and virtual group for your instance and projects to differentiate from one server to another or from one project to another. That will help you to divide your instances based on project or based the application, so you will see and navigate from one project to another. Active audit report that will give you every action that is clicked over the cloud in order for auditing and reviewing any misused option. Pricing in order to explore estimation. It's not a final calculator, it's an estimate based pricing. You can see it from pricing. Last but not least, we have knowledge based kp.bluevault.com that will present a lot of articles, videos, how-tos in Arabic and in English, a lot of information you can refer before you go to support to educate yourself and your team for a cloud hosting based STC. And as we mentioned, we have a platform called azer.solutions.com.sa. Sorry, it's a support platform for cloud based only. It's 24 by 7 based on the SLA. You can create a ticket per email, per platform. You can raise a phone call. You can contact to the support directly. And if you have any downtime issue or something, the SSC guarantee that uptime is 99.95% around the year for the uptime for their servers. So don't worry, we have a lot of critical system inside SSC Cloud where they are running and configured properly. You can identify the projects and you can explore entire cloud system. That's all. Thank you so much, and let's go to the another section. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Abdul Ghani Al Khatib from CloudZone ITC, Cloud Computing Company, based in Jeddah. We're providing STC hosting Saudi service here in Saudi Arabia. Today, I will discover and explain more in details how can we create a Windows VDS or VDC over STC environment, STC Cloud tech stack, and discover the steps to go for it when you initially first creating the cloud setup, cloud VPS, cloud network, and how can we access through web browser, along with another two options, optional in order to complete your journey in a cloud hosting. First of all, STC uses application called Blue Vault. Blue Vault, it's a solution to manage your resources instances over the STC Cloud. We will go to first, if you created your account, CloudZone gave you access to your subscription, then basically what do you do is to go to your portal as a client or reseller, then go to instance. We will show you how to going for that portal. This is the main target login. Basically, you go to cloud.stc.com.sa. After you go for cloud.stc.com.sa, you have to log in as an users inside STC Cloud. Then you go to dashboard. We will try beta. Beta, it's a new layout of STC that will be used from now to the future. You will no longer see the old dashboard. You will go to dashboard. Then we'll open you a new portal showing you the invoices, subscription, and organization, financial and users, and even support. You go to subscription button. Then you will see your subscription based in the instances. We will click on it. then will navigate you to that page, that active page is started from, and you have multiple options to do it. Please note that this page for subscription level, for example, if you need to cancel and remove entire subscription inside the cloud, then you can press over cancel. How can you create Windows VPS and manage that subscription? In order to manage your cloud instances, access it, delete it, remove it, and understand every section, that what does that mean inside platform called Blue Vault. Basically, Blue Vault, it's a cloud solution application to manage your instances VPS over the STC Cloud. Here there is a list of sections that we will go through in every step. Okay, first step, or step number one, access to cloud connect bluevault.com. This is could be accessed from STC portal that will be given from STC reseller, or give you from CloudZone account manager. That will give you a link, then you can access it. Then you will navigate to create your network, then create subnet, then third step to create router, and the fourth step is to create a security group to permit and deny certain network policies and ports. The step number 4 is to create a floating IP address, which is a public IP address to access to your server externally from the internet. Assign that IP address to the server, check your network topology, access instance from console browser, and we have the rest steps. Optionally, you can lock the instance from any production server. You must do that in order to avoid any cancellation or removal by mistake, or even stop that instance. And you can enable the RDP service inside Windows VDS. To get started, you have to go to cloud.stc.com.sa. Then you will go to that portal. We will use Meta layout. It's a new layout of STC. From now to the future, you will not using or seeing the old layout of the portal. Then you have to log in with your username, email, and password that given from CloudZone company in order to access the STC portal. You will see your name here appearing. Then you will go to dashboard accessing to the subscription and invoices. You have to go to the subscription. Subscription means that entire account will manage your instances from financial until the billing. Then you will see the test. I have created a test subscription. If you click it, you'll see that subscription layout. Here you can cancel the subscription if you don't need any further consuming, or manage subscription, manage users, and view it inside the marketplace. If you need to access to the VDS or VDC cloud portal, you will click on go to service. Then you will use the unique username and password that will be given from CloudZone team. We will use our demo account. Make sure that you remove entire any spaces that and the password, and connect. After you connect, they will redirect you to the cloud portal that will be showing your entire instances overview and usage, consuming, and everything else. In order to create an instance, you go to instances and create it. But if this is the first initial server you will use, you have to make sure that to create a step-by-step network, then router, then IP address, then topology. At the final stage, you will see the same result of this one. Make sure that is locked. If you lock that server, you will not be able to change any action of the server, for example, shut down, remove, or resize. So this is the option that you can use. That status, please make sure that status is active and running. Then you will see the multiple options that you can use for that server. Basically, we will be able at the end to access to that Windows server. You click it and you will see the console web browser similar to this layout. Okay, this is a Windows server from STC Cloud. How to do that? You have to go to again to STC cloud.stc.com.sa, then going to dashboard, subscription, click to that subscription that you need to access to, go to service, and again you will be redirected to that link inside the Blue Vault tech stack. First, we will go through this steps by each one. Okay, so access to connect, that is done, completed. Then create network subnet. We have to go to network, then let us go to the network. After you go to networks, you have to create a new subnet in order to assign it to that server. Okay, press on create network, you name it, CZ network web application, net web. Then go to subnet, subnetnet CZ web underscore subnet, and the address will be like network address is 11.11.11.0/24, similar to that. Then we can assign a default IP address, which will be the initial, for example, by default will be the first IP address. You can keep it or assign it for this. Okay, then you can go to subnet details. If you have any pool you need to make or ranges in order to advance configuration, you can specify here or leave it for default one. After you create a network subnet, you have to create a router. Go back to the subnet. Let's see which step that we are on. Step number 2 is done. Then we can create a router to default gateway to the internet, to be able to access to the internet. Then you are able to see the network over here. It's an up. Okay, then we move to routers in order to create a virtual router to able to access to give access to the public internet. Okay, create routers. Let's say that CZ router, you name it as a number or something else. I can name it router 3, for example, Cloud Zone router 3. It's an appear here. Then we can set a gateway which will be a public network. This option will give you a routing method in order to make even a default network routing to the internet or routing to the between your subnets inside the internet or inside the router or inside the cloud setup itself. The third step, we will go back to follow Number 4, create your security group to permit or deny certain network or network services or ports inside or outside the cloud itself. So here we have done that step. We will go and create. There is a default security group which will be by default permit all the outgoing ports and deny any unusual protocol, or let's say the security group. CZ security group number 3, security group created by Clouds on team. Okay, this is for description for further usage over that security group. We can manage a group as long as we need to give that security address or security group rules to the Windows VPS or VDS. You have to enable RDP for, by default from the internet to the server itself. So we'll be adding RDP. If you have any certain IP address you need to be able to access, then you can consider, or we will see the security group. Security group will be the third one or current one. Now we have added the security group or RDB service to that security group. Okay, I will give you an example of rules that we can enable or disable. This is another security group for Windows, and here is the default one. Okay, going back to our step checklist. Done. Then the third, creating floating IP addresses in order to give an static IP address to that server to be able to access it from external internet. Going to floating IP address and allocate IP address to the project. Public network means from the internet. Description, Windows CZ Cloud Zone Windows Server 12 or something like that. Okay. Keep it until we associate it with the instance itself. So going back to our sheet, this is done. Assigning step will be after creating the instance itself. So we will check the network topology in order to see the entire subnetting before we create an instance. Going back to network topology. Here we can see the network topology for our cloud architecture. If you have like production web application or a database or a DMZ or whatever you have, you can create subnet. So this is the public internet. Every subnet here that connected directly to public internet access that will be able to access to the internet. For example, if we need to connect this again to public IP address or to the internet subnetting, we can just create or adding the subnet from this option. Okay, it's loading. It takes several times to load in order to configure add interface. Since we don't have interface yet, we have to create an instance and go back here in order to list the instance interface and connect it to this public subnetting or public network subnet. Okay. If we just need to create, yeah, we can select from here, select this option and add interface. We already created a subnet for that. Okay, never mind. We will now creating Okay, we now creating a compute. We're going to compute, then instance, then create a Windows server. Launch instance. Instance name will be CZ Win to 12 like web or something like that. Availability zone, that means if you need to make a redundant web application between availability zone 1 and 2, that will be for high risky application. We will choose the zone 1. And the count, in order to replicate the server, that will be used the same resources. For example, if you need to make two redundant web application on high risky servers, then we can change the count here to create 2 instance, 3 instance, or 4 instance. We will keep it 1, then go to flavor. In order to select the image, we will use the resources from the smallest one, which will be generic 1. Press over here, select the flavor. As in resources, we will use virtual CPU 1 and RAM 2 GB RAM, and total hard disk is 30. Source, to use the snapshot. We don't have snapshot, then we can move to in order to remove the volume or attach storage account, we can click over yes. Okay, since we don't have snapshot yet, we can move to the network. Network will be used the third network that we recently created. We will make up to select that network subnetting. Network ports, there is no network ports. We will go to the security directly and choose the security group here. Press the security group. If we need to disable the default ingress or default security group, we can press this button, but we will keep it as a default in order to see what happened. Key pairs, this option, it's very important if you have to deal with Linux-based operating system. We can create a key pair, CZ key pair web. Okay. Then we can create a new pair, copy it. If you need to access to Linux base, then done. This is a key pair for future use, but we don't care about that key pair right now since we are dealing with Windows. Then the final step, let us just select over everything is if that everything image volume snapshot, you will see the image. And we will see Windows Server 2012. To select the operating system, so we will use the image, then select Windows Server. You can select Windows 16, 2016, 2008, 2019, based on your requirement. Okay, then check everything is okay. Detail, next. Then here the resources, next. Sources 30, and or the storage that you need, we could make it 80, 100 upon your needed in the setup. Network, we will make sure that everything is okay. Then next to the network port, we don't have network port yet. We will choose our security group here. Then key pair, we don't have to use a key pair right now. Then launch the instance. You'll keep it a moment until that will be appear here. Directly we will see. First option, we will go back to our status. This one, check that step is done. Access instance. Let's go back to the step number 6 to assign public IP address to the virtual server, we can assign it here and select from the subnet that we need, and the public IP address will be this, associate. Then you are able to access that server remotely from the web console or somewhere else using public IP address that will be 95.167.168.201. Preparing, and we will see the status here once it's active. That will be in a moment. Make sure after you create the instance to lock it after you run it if that is in production environment, in order to avoid any misused or by mistake delete or remove or even shut down the production server. We go back and select done. Access the instance from a web browser in order to test access and able to access to that server. Basically, you will go to the console, you will see how, and lock the instance. This is for optional, okay, not mandatory, and enable RDP service inside Windows Server if you would like to go to use public accessible RDP or remote desktop protocol to that Windows Server. Let us just peer a moment while that creating the server. If we go back to network topology, we will see the network topology here after we create our last server interface. You can see here architecture based on your design. How can we access and deal with the router? Here the console, router, public accessible interface. Then we have two separate subnetting for maybe production and the other one for staging, web hosting. You can see here the public internet now is accessed to the interface. Here, if you need to specify the network interface, specify for the interface created, we have created 10.10.10.02. From where we get it, you can go back to cloud, go to service, go to instances. You will see here the IP address that we creating, copy, then go back, paste, which is 3, the instance of the server itself. Access it, then you are able to access to the network public internet subnetting or subnet. Okay, everything is clear right now. Okay, we go back to compute instances and check if everything is clear and running. Then we have to make sure the power stat is running. Then we can access or manage the server here, even attach interface or software delete or attach or access. Let us just access via console. Will be initiate the Windows server here. And you are able, right click, open a new tab, in order to access it from the full screen. Okay. Okay, the last step is to provide connectivity to the network or to the server itself. So what we have to do is to confirm the access instance from the browser, whether it's done or not. Let us just see. You can go to Cloud Portal as usual, select your server over here, then you press over console. Console will redirect you to the access console, the first initial connection that will require to change the default administrator password. So you'll click over connect or OK. Then we will add cloudzone.net, for example. If that is not clickable, you can basically open it in a new tab for better. We will specify a certain complex password and press OK. And that way, you will be able to access to Windows Server 2012 in the same browser. Let us just confirm the IP address. You can see here. Just open the portal and confirm if it's IP config. You will see the same IP address from the tech stack over here. Let's go back. Overview. Now we have confirmed our same IP address inside the Windows Server. You can now go to tools and manage your services, or you can add remote management or remote desktop and add allow network, select users. You can add permissions over here, everyone, select name. You can OK, whether if you need everyone over we're able to access to the remote desktop application. Okay, that's all. You can just try to install your applications or try to start using Windows Server per your scenario. So you can go to internet in order just to make sure if that use or ask me later, google.com. Sorry, you are able to access the internet over here. We have certain security default from Windows Server, but you know, you can access, close. Yeah, we are able to access the internet, and here's the awesome the awesome website that you can do. I don't know what happened, but I believe there is additional security issues over here from the Windows Server. That's all that we need to mention for today. Thank you so much, and I hope that will help you in order to get started with the cloud journey. Let's just complete our checklist. Done. We can lock the instance over here. Going back to the instance and press lock. If you lock it, you will not be able to turn it off or turn it down or resizes or do whatever you want because it's locked for production purposes. You will see the notice. You will not be able to remove that associate that anything on production. If you need to change it or switch it off, you basically unlock the instance, and if we need just to shut down, we can press over shut down. We have checked over here, and the last thing is chain enabled. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any inquiry or question, don't hesitate to contact us via www.cloudzone.net or CloudZone ITC over social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, or different social media. It was a great day to having this beautiful and knowledgeable webinar with you. Have a great day ahead.